The deal with parents who are like, you should be thanking me. I feed you. I pay for your meals. Bow down to me. I think I'm gonna continue standing. You do you, though. Like, whose fault is it that I'm here? Y'all signed up for the proper parent program 15 years ago and now you're getting cold feet? Like I did not request to take on life. Y'all are acting like fetus Molly was up in heaven with her fingers crossed waiting to be conceived like, oh my god, can y'all just do the deed already? The sooner the better. I want to be an April baby, not May. Also, parents, why are you suddenly complaining to your children about having to feed them? When we were in the womb, it was not a problem. Like when y'all were preggo with us, I promise all of your meals were double the size of the legal limit, and it was fine. What happened to that energy? If I'm such a hassle, just hand me my umbilical cord and I'll go back in. I don't know what you want.
Story time about how my boyfriend has a secret child with another woman. We've been together for 5 years, and I never knew that he had a child. His son is now 7 years old. A little backstory. When my boyfriend and I started dating, everything was great. He was the perfect boyfriend. He would drop anything to help me. He paid for everything, was super considerate, fun, and loving. But everything started to change last year when we moved in together. He told me that his job was starting to give him night shifts. Essentially, we never saw each other during the day or spent any time together. He also started telling me that he was too tired to go out on dates. I'm a paralegal and my office is really close to our apartment. So during my lunch break, I would go home to eat. One time that I came home, I caught him talking on the phone in the bathroom. I could only hear that he was whispering and it sent chills up my spine. When he came out of the bathroom, he was shocked to see me. I asked him who he was talking to and he acted dumb. He said he was just ordering a pizza. He was actually supposed to be sleeping because he worked the night shift. I knew something was wrong. I decided to follow him that night to work, and guess what? He didn't go to work. He went to another woman's house. Part 2 is up. Part 2 of how my boyfriend has a secret child with another woman. I followed him that night to what I thought was his job, but instead he drove 10 minutes away from our apartment to another woman's house. I parked a few cars away so I could see what he was doing. That's when a little boy and a woman come running out of the house. The woman kisses him on the mouth and he carries the little boy and hugs him. Believe it or not, I instantly got sick. I got out through the passenger door and vomited. I was horrified. My first thought was that he was married and I was the other woman. They walked into the house and I stayed waiting for him the entire night. He left that house at 6 in the morning the next day. But before he could get into his car, I confronted him. He was obviously shocked to see me there. He confessed that was his son, that he wasn't married to the woman. They were only together. So I was right. I was the other woman. He explained that he wasn't in love with the other woman and that he didn't have the heart to tell her he was in love with someone else. He got on his knees and apologized. Part 3 is up. Part 3 of how my boyfriend has a secret child with another woman. He got on his knees and begged me for forgiveness, but I had already made my mind up. I told him he needed to move out by the end of the day. I got in my car and slept for about 18 hours. When I woke up, all of his stuff was still there. He was in the kitchen making me breakfast. I gave him a chance and I let him talk. He explained that he and the girl had a very toxic relationship and that I was the first woman he'd ever met that he truly loved. But I just couldn't get over the fact that he was lying to me every single day for 5 years. Instead of going to work, he was going to her house. I told him that I saw him kissing her and he said that that's just how they greet each other. He swears that they don't have anything going on between them. It's been about a week and he's still living with me. I basically gave him a second chance, but my instinct is telling me something's wrong. I met his son a few nights ago and we got along really well. He's a really cute boy and he loves his dad a lot. And I could see how much my boyfriend loves him too. I don't want to break my own heart, but I feel like I can't trust him anymore. He swears he'll never lie to me again. I have this constant stomach ache now, but I still love him. Should I stay with him or not?
Story time about the time that I had a thing with my stepbrother. So a little background information. I was 14 and it was the first half of my freshman year. So my dad had recently broken up with my mom and he had different girls in and out of the house 24/7. I mean, he was kind of doing his thing after a 15-year marriage. Well, the one day I'm sitting in the house and he brings this girl Kayla over. She had a few kids herself, but both of them said that they would never date. Well, I thought her son Tyler was extremely good looking. So him and I started talking over Snapchat, and things were going good for quite a while. Well, I would say a few months later, my dad told us that Kayla was coming over with her kids. And I was super confused because he seemed really nervous about it. So her kids and I were all sitting on the sofa, and they sat us down and they were like, we need to talk to you guys. We're gonna call my dad Mike. She goes, Mike and I are dating now, so we all have to get along. The reason why she said that was because she thought that I didn't get along. Part 2 about how I had a thing with my stepbrother. So like I said, my dad and her sat us down and she goes, Mike and I are dating now, da-da-da-da-da. And she was like, so we all have to get along now. Because she thought that I didn't get along with some of her kids and her kids did not respect my dad at all. So like I said, Tyler and I were dating at this point. And I freaked out. I was like, you guys can't start dating because Tyler and I are dating. And Kayla was like, well, that's too bad. You two need to break up because I'm your new mother now. And I'm sitting there like, what the fuck did this bitch say? So I start screaming that it's not fair. Tyler's trying to calm me down. My dad is trying to calm Kayla down. To be honest, my dad didn't really care because I had told him about Tyler and I before the whole situation. I thought Tyler would be really upset at the situation, but he was actually pissed off at his mom. So we broke up. Kayla and my dad dated for a little bit over 2 months. Well, surprise, surprise, Kayla cheated on my dad with her ex. So Tyler and I started dating again. Story time about the girl who left me unconscious in the girls' bathroom. So a little background information. I was pretty young at the time. I was in 7th grade and I was 11 years old. And there was this girl who we're gonna call Jenna. Jenna hated me for absolutely no fucking reason. She would bully me because I had red hair, and she would text me literally every day at the same time, telling me to off myself, and how I was weird and how nobody liked me. One day she randomly started being nice to me. She sat with me at lunch and her water bottle was empty, and she asked if I needed mine filled up too. Stupidly, I said yes. Well, she ended up putting drugs in my water bottle. After like 20 minutes, I started feeling sick, so I went to the bathroom, and I was kneeling over the toilet when everything went black. Well, when I didn't come back from the bathroom, my teacher got worried, so she sent security looking for me. They were banging on my stall. Obviously, I was fucking unconscious, so I didn't answer. So then they called the fire department, the police, the ambulance were all there. Like for part 2. Part 2 about the girl who left me unconscious in the girls' bathroom. So like I said, the fire department was there, the police, the ambulance. They called the fire department because they couldn't get the door off. And when they removed it, it fell on me. So I was injured and unconscious. And just a little background information on this girl, who mind you was literally 11 years old. She had a 3 criminal record and was recently in prison for 5 days. Or juvie, whatever the heck you want to call it. Because she brought a knife to school and tried to stab some kid who had called her fat the day before. Anyways, back to the story. I wake up 4 days later. My mom's sitting next to me. They put Abby in jail for 13 years for suspicion of attempted murder, and she was kicked out of school. And now I'm homeschooled and failing all my classes. I now have seizures because of the drugs that she gave me. So yeah.
Story time on how I told my mom her boyfriend was sexually assaulting me and she didn't believe me. Okay, so boom, let's jump right into it. So I was 14 at the time and my mom had a longtime boyfriend. My mom and this guy been together for about 3 years. Unfortunately, my dad is in jail, so I only talk to him over the phone when he calls. I always got creepy vibes from my mom boyfriend and I told her about this. I told her how he would put his hands a little bit too close to my booty, and when he would hug me, I can like feel his down there area. And when he would kiss me on the cheeks, every now and then he would always do a mistake and kiss me on my lips. She didn't believe me because she never seen anything. Well, one day he took it extremely too far. My mom was at work and I was alone with her boyfriend. I always stay in my room away from him because again, he's creepy. But this night it didn't stop him from coming into my room and violating me. Like for part 2. Part 2 on how I told my mom her boyfriend was sexually assaulting me and she didn't believe me. Okay, so boom, like I said, her boyfriend came into my room and violated me. I tried to run away, but he pinned me on the bed and he started kissing me on my neck. Then he snatched my shirt off and my breast was exposed. At that moment, my phone started ringing. The ring distracted my mom's boyfriend, and at that moment, I took my phone and I ran out the house. Yes, I ran out the house with my breast exposed. By the grace of God, it was my dad calling from jail. I missed his call, so I had to wait till he called me back, so in the meantime, I called my mom. I told my mom everything and she told me shut up. She hung up the phone and did nothing. She even called me a liar. I ran to my best friend's house with my breast exposed and her parents took me in. Eventually, my dad called me back and he saved my life. Like for part 3. Part 3 on how I told my mom her boyfriend was sexually assaulting me and she didn't believe me. Okay, so boom, like I said, after my mom didn't believe me, I ran to my best friend's house with my breast exposed and her parents took me in. I waited for my dad to call me back from jail and he eventually did. I answered the phone and I cried telling him everything of what just happened. My dad from jail became my hero. He sent a lot of his friends to my mom's house to handle that guy. Of course, we pressed charges and he's going to be serving time in jail. All my dad's friends helped me pack and they all brought me to my dad's mom's house. My mom came home to an empty house and my dad's mother has been granted custody of me. My mom was horrible. I hated living with her. Her boyfriend was physically abusive while she was verbally abusive. She didn't believe me and that hurt, but my dad believed me and saved my life. Can't wait to see him in a year.